Oh, man.
I get fired up.
I got to plug that light in. Hey, we might be live. We're going live.
I have a face for radio, I've been told. So I hope you don't zoom in too tight.
There.
Please don't
All right, Henry McClure live.
Please don't zoom in too tight.
We're in the Glass Houses studio. Here, I got to turn this over a little bit here. Now, see, you're not in the picture now here. So here, is that better?
Well, you can.
No, is that a little better?
It depends who's looking at me. The beauty's in the eye of the beholder, right?
Well, let's see.
I'm in focus. All right.
We're trending at about, I don't know, 1.5 million views on my Facebook now.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, just not
live.
You annualize it.
Yeah. That's good.
So, Robert, introduce yourself.
Robert Williams, John Q. Public Citizen here in Shawnee County, just trying to get more bang for our buck with our tax dollars.
We met at a county commission meeting.
Yeah, well, you saw me there, and I think I met you later.
I tracked you down.
Yeah, exactly.
Who put us together?
Janelle, Linnell Griffin.
She's a good, strong Republican.
Yeah, she's the GOP.
She, the word of God is in that woman.
Yes. I've been on some rides with her about issues around here, and that most certainly has noble intentions.
Well, if I ever run for office, I'm not going to take personal donations, but I want the public to donate to the Republican Party. Now, I think there are Republicans that are bad actors.
Oh.
There are. And there are Democrats that are worse actors. Mm. But I trust Linnell locally. Oh, man, we got to make sure these things are right up there.
Yeah, test.
Yeah, here. So really what I'm saying is that when I ran for office, the managing of the money was just a pain in the ass. It really was. And I managed the money for Craig McCullough and actually did a better job, I think, for Craig as a treasurer than I did for myself. But it's just about spreading yourself too thin.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But what I like, I'm trying to get people to run for office in districts 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9.
In the county.
In the city. The city council. Because we just got to replace them all, plus the mayor. And I definitely don't want Spencer Duncan to ever be the mayor. He's just, he's status quo. He's led around like a, it's like an old cow, where they got those things, the rings in their nose.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. For the life of me, these young kids putting those in, do they really understand what that?
Yeah, I mean that gets in the way of a good pick.
Yeah. You want to be led around.
Well, what about you? Where do you live?
I live out in Mays District.
Oh, you're in Mays?
Out by the lake.
Is he not? Does he ever return your calls?
He has. We've butted heads a few times, if you've noticed, watching some of the county commission meetings.
His dad was a good dude.
Yeah, and I don't
good, strong
impugn
Republican.
anybody's character. I
don't mind impugning somebody's character.
Well, I mean,
or lack thereof.
Yeah,
what about this Tim Waltz guy? Have you seen him?
Oh,
like celebrating the fact that Tesla stock's going down.
Yeah.
What an idiot!
And these guys, Kimmel and them, all but applauding the vandalism and the that's what you have when you have no other argument, right? You go to violence
and people in Topeka, if they don't like you, they'll tear you down or they'll never help you.
Yeah.
So like that Molly Howie, you know her?
I do not.
Oh shit! This girl, anytime I do it, well, that didn't create a job, Henry. That doesn't create jobs. Nope, that doesn't create jobs. Yep. Well, the last deal they did, which will end up being worse than buying the hotel. Mm-hmm. Do you know about this deal?
Which one?
I know we're here to talk about the Citizens Commission.
Yeah, this is all encompassing. But this is all part of that dialogue.
The AT&T building was purchased by I think AIM Strategies, and I think Cody Foster's the big swinging dude behind that, the Tim Waltz of AIM Strategies.
Okay.
But so the city's going to sign, or the Jetto's going to sign a lease, and then put money into the tenant finish of that lease without a tenant. Do you ever play craps?
I have.
It's like taking all the money you got and putting it on the pass line and rolling the dice.
Yeah.
And we got to talk about this BioRealty deal because they didn't succeed, and it's not all BioRealty's fault. At the Wolf Camera.
Yeah, I know Wolf Camera. Yeah, there's a lot.
Have I gotten us sidetracked right from the beginning?
Well, you kind of hit me with a lot of city issues that I'm not versed in. So, but
well, what it comes down to, what the whole issue is here, is about input.
Yes.
And we as citizens don't have a voice in our own community.
Yeah.
And the Citizens Commission would be that voice. You can't go to a board meeting of Go Topeka where they decide where our tax dollars are going. Mm-hmm. That's bullshit.
Yeah.
So we've got an NGO handling our tax dollars. And I think that we need to get out of the downtown Topeka. We need to let Visit Topeka, Downtown Topeka, Go Topeka, and anything that the Greater Topeka Partnership rules over, we got to disband that and let everybody go on their own. If the people of downtown want to have their own merchants association, we'll let them band together and do it. Mm-hmm. So let's go back to this. And number one, when was the Citizens Commission passed? Law.
Well, that's kind of a interesting thing. I believe it was in 2019. However, the census of Shawnee County came in 2020, which thrust Shawnee County into this statute because we exceeded that 170,000 threshold.
Right.
And we remain there today. So we're going on 6 years of failed implementation of this commission. Remember that word, guys, because you may hear it again. The commission that should have carved out a lot of this waste, fraud, and abuse here locally.
Well, and so what's really beautiful about the commission is the people that are on it, plus 19 members of the public.
Yeah, 18.
18 members of the public. Yeah. So this takes away the bullshit that we do now with Go Topeka and just the very few people making all the decisions.
And I would like to see it work in conjunction or pull the names from the city's own little committee that they're putting together.
Oh, man.
Because they have a part in this, as well as all the other municipalities, townships, school districts, drainage districts, and the like.
Do you want to just read who's supposed to be on this commission?
Sure, absolutely. It says the commission, and I brought this up to the county commissioners at a meeting, because we have a bunch of legal minds in there, a bunch of lawyers.
Rich Eckert's the smartest guy in the world. Do you know that little bald-headed fool?
Well, I know I'm in a room with a bunch of lawyers when I'm in there because my skin crawls.
Oh, yeah.
But that being said, they should.
Kevin Crook.
So when we hear the word shall in statute, that means must, will, not maybe, could, right? So they shall consist of the Board of County Commissioners of the county, the governing body of all cities of the first class located in such counties, the trustee of each township, the chairman of the boards of education of all districts located in such county, the chairmen of the boards of public utilities of all cities located in the county, chairmen of the boards of all drainage districts, mayors of all cities of the second and third class, which I believe we have 4 of them, 3 of them, 4 of them, and 18 persons that shall be selected and appointed by the members therein before provided. Such residents such persons shall be residents of the county and shall not be officers or employees of the county or any city, school district, township, board of utilities, and drainage district.
There might be a Republican in there somewhere.
We need 18 people. Now, if you want to, I can dig into the entire statute. This is the function of the county commission to put this together. But I feel like we've seen multiple examples of or local government being lazy. So my thought is, instead of allowing county commissioners or other people to select them, if we bring them 18 people, say these are people that are willing, it would be easier for them to adopt that. And plus, we may have a hand in actually selecting who's in there. And I would like to see people who are opposed to my views beyond that. I want a cross-section.
That might be easy.
Well, yeah, exactly. But I want a equal representation and a cross-section of the citizenry to offer input as part of the residents, these 18 members providing input, because you're going to get pushback from all the other government entities when you're talking about what this intent of this commission is to do. Is that's something I would like to read for you, because it's mind-blowing.
Read it.
And maybe it will shed some light as to why this county commission over the last 5 years has failed, and I argue perhaps purposely, to implement this.
It's worse than, this is really worse than the back taxes on Lawrence Bay.
Yeah, so.
You want me to get the magnifying glass?
Let me see if I can work through it here.
Is this online?
Yeah, I pulled it. Well, let me give you the story on this and why we're having trouble, I believe, I have a small circle of people I talk to. You're far more public figure than I am, but that being said, the apathy of our citizenry, that's what I have disdain for.
That's what it's all about.
That's the problem, because you're always going to have evildoers and people. You had a wonderful man in here, and you talked about and you asked that gentleman about, do you think there's waste, fraud, and abuse in Shawnee County? And his reply was, you're always going to have that. I respectfully would have followed up and said, well, should we not fight to change that? Even though, yes, that may be the case, you're always going to have a propensity towards that in any agency, but shouldn't we have an expectation of these people being fiduciaries with our taxpayers' money? And shouldn't we have a big voice? That voice is right here, everybody.
Well, so you're touching on a subject. It's like, what is the role of government? So, like, what is the role of our mayor today? What is the role of our city council? A friend of mine's on city council, and just because you're a new kid on the block doesn't mean your voice is just as good as everybody, because your voice is the people that voted for you.
Even maybe, I would argue, even more powerful, because you were newly elected. Yeah. You have a fresh platform, and they expect you to go out trailblazing and breaking new ground on making things better.
It's not like everybody knows in Karen Hiller's district that she thinks that a bark park is economic development.
Yeah.
But like today in the Donald J. Trump, I voted for that. Keep going. Yeah. Just keep moving.
Well, for the life of me, would you have ever imagined that you finally get a couple of people in there and for free going through the books?
Right.
And instead of saying, hey, we're exposing all this fraud in Social Security, perhaps that may free up more resources for those who are entitled to it. Instead, you have this voracious attack.
Well, the best way, if we go back to Reagan and the trickle-down theory, so let's just say the more money we've got as individuals, the more freedom we have. Well, if we want to go buy that new house or get a new set of golf clubs, whatever, join that join the Topeka Country Club, and then you can really hobnob with the people. But seriously, but the more, if they're cutting out the waste, fraud, and abuse, and we don't have to pay as much taxes, well, why would you? How can you fight that?
And actually, maybe get more resources from your tax dollars, because now you're freeing up all that fraud goes into the coffers. Maybe my mother at 73 or 74, correction, doesn't have to work full time, because maybe her Social Security would be able to sustain her in her senior years.
So the guilty dogs bark the loudest.
Yeah. Yes.
So the people that are fighting this, are idiots.
And just on that, I can't take credit for acquiring the knowledge on this commission. This was sent to me anonymously by an elderly man who kind of wants to be under the radar, because like we see on the national front, we go pushing back on local government, they're going to get ugly too. I guarantee you.
They already are ugly.
Yeah. I mean, they're going to be vicious. They're going to send their trolls out. And full disclosure here, and I can't speak for Mr. McClure here, but I, like everybody else, have my transgressions that I've lived through in the past. I'm trying to be humble. I'm at a point in my life where I would like to offer something back to the community with which gave me my livelihood, right? So why is that such a bad thing? When you want to, if you can say, hey, I'm going to save a buck, run more efficiently, right? But we are in ground zero in the Midwest on what's happening to Musk and Trump, because I'll tell you a couple reasons why. We're a capital city.
Right.
That's a biggie right there. That's where all the entitlement, that's where all the people go to get handouts. And many of them deservingly so. Or they need, in a civilized society, we have an obligation, those of us who can, provide for those who can't. But what's happened over the decades is we've blurred that line of what's, something that's in need of supplement or help, right? You can get, so we have a lot of, the deal is we need to help those who can't help themselves. But the deal with that is, if you can help yourself, you need to get your butt out there and be a contributor, be in the asset column. And then when everybody does that, we should have plenty for those who can't do for themselves. There's people, I work with people in that situation that need provided assistance. Imagine how much more would be available if we cut out all the waste.
Well, yeah, we don't need to be.
Boggles my mind.
We don't need to be. The foreign aid's got to stop. Oh, we got to reel it in. Europe. That French fucker that wanted the Statue of Liberty back.
Yeah.
Hey, dude, if we didn't help you, you'd be speaking German, right?
Yeah, times two. Yeah. Yes, indeed.
Well, are you going to read that? Or?
Yeah, if I could get this is what our commission, our Shawnee County, I like that website you set up. Let's fill it up. Let's get some intel.
I will.
But yeah, this is what
I'm working on Emporia, Johnny Carson.
Yeah. Did you have a magnifying glass?
Yeah.
I'll see if I can.
Yeah, I do.
This says, this is 1926-72. Same duties of commission. I'll try and get through it, Henry, while you're. Oh, you got it? Okay. This is important here. Oh, here we go.
That's got a little light. I got to get that fixed.
Okay. Sorry, getting old here. It shall be the duty of such commission to A, investigate and study the existing structure and operation of the units of local government within such county. B, investigate and study the needs and requirements of the citizens of the county for governmental Services, there we go, we're just talking about that. Investigate and study the possibilities for the elimination of all unnecessary activities and all duplication in office personnel and equipment and the coordination of activities between the departments and the government units. And, sorry, I have to close one eye.
It's okay.
To investigate and study the possibility and advisability of reforming the system of local government with a view to simplifying the organization of government. Such study to include consideration of the consolidation of units of government, the transfer of powers and duties, and the creation of new forms of government. Gee, you wonder why this has been stalled out and ignored for the last 5 years? Give me the books. I can prove to you that this system of government's cost $255,000 for a city manager. I remember when the president didn't get that much.
I don't remember that far back.
You should. Back in the 80s, I think they got $250,000 a year, the president of the United States. What do they get now, 400 and some?
Ziggy, what was the salary of the president in the year 2000?
That's 2,000. That'd be 400.
Ziggy's not very smart.
How about 1985?
No, we'll go to 1980. Ziggy, the president of the United States in 1980, what was their salary? Ziggy is apolitical today.
Well, I remember it because I remember when the athletes, and when I was a little kid, about 10, 11 years old, I was shocked that the president didn't make the most money of anybody. It was amazing. It was like, how can he only make $250,000 when this guy is making $3 million, $4 million a year? I didn't understand the economics back then.
And Trump donates all his money.
Yeah. And you're going to vilify a guy, Musk, working for free. These guys went in.
Elon Musk, I want you to come to Topeka and look around. Look at all the real estate we got here. Bring a Tesla factory here.
I mentioned that. I sent that out to them.
Look at Forbes Field. You can be doing a lot of stuff with Forbes.
We have rail. We have a 2-mile runway down there. We're centrally located. We have 300 and some days of sun a year here. I've been working trying to get something. Come to Topeka. Come
Where
to the
did you get
heartland.
that sun statistic?
Look it up.
Hey, Ziggy, what's the average day of sunlight in Kansas?
From bestplaces.net. On average, there are 230 sunny days per year in Kansas.
I'm off, but I beg to...
But your heart's in the right place.
I beg to differ with that statistic.
All right, we'll look it up. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll put it on Gork later.
But that's still a significant amount, and the wind is without saying. Right?
I hate the windmills.
I do too.
I do. They look like shit.
But the same people that were praising all this stuff a couple years ago are the ones burning down his factory or his dealership.
But that's just how evil the left is.
Yeah. So that tells you the sincerity. You just got to follow the hypocrisy, and know.
Do you know that right now AOC is the #1 Democrat?
Well, and then she
was a bartender.
Well, mind you, nobody's talking about this. She's around this platform of putting oligarchs in their place. Isn't she worth about $20 or $30 million now since she went into
She was a bartender.
Exactly. So who are the oligarchs? She is.
To me?
Yeah, exactly. I'll trade you any day of the week. Our bank accounts. AOC, the supporter of the common person. Come on.
Well,
these people have been.
Just keep them drunk, and then they'll keep voting for you.
Well, what's the old saying? Give them bread and circus, and you'll control the masses. Read a book, people.
I like reading.
Yeah, learn your history.
Hand me that book right there.
Learn your history.
This is what Kevin Cook gave to me. And I read this one time. I got to get MD. We got to go back through my archives and then. But Kevin Cook is such an arrogant bobblehead. And he gives me the marvelous adventures of county land because he just thinks I'm an idiot, and I don't look. That bobblehead. He's a lawyer, so right there, that makes him the smartest guy in the world.
Yeah.
And then he was telling me about this debt collector guy that he admired, and that's how his mentor. My dad had a doctorate in tax law.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure.
It's just
and he may be a lawyer.
It doesn't make my dad. My dad was a good lawyer. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Anyway.
Good lawyer.
Hey, do you guys feel the frustration we've got going on right now?
You're a good lawyer, Mr. Cook. So does that mean you were aware of this statute and chose not to implement it, or are you ignorant of this statute?
Well, here's what we ought to do. He's an officer of the court, right?
Yeah, well, I would say
so.
Is he current? I don't know.
Yeah.
He used to be a defense. Is he a public defender or something?
Any lawyer with a law license that's practicing is an officer of the court.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if an officer of the court holds an elected office and isn't following the law, doesn't that make him what is it? There's a really fancy word. He would know an accessory after the fact. He would know it because he deals with all these criminals.
Yeah.
And
I would ask him, and I did.
Hang on a second here. Hey, Ziggy, define accessory after the fact.
Accessory after the fact is usually defined as a person who assists or protects someone wanted by the police in connection with a crime.
Okay, so it's more about hiding the criminal, but what if you're hiding a legal action? What's the difference?
You asking me or?
Yeah, I'm just asking you.
Well, I would say this. I mean, you have malfeasance, you have malpractice, you have neglect. I would say this is in the neglect category. I don't know. I haven't dug into the legal.
Here's where the real problem is. We're run by the Greater Topeka Partnership and the Chamber of Commerce, and they don't, and nobody wants to take them on. That's the problem. They don't want to take on Mr. Bowtie. Dude makes $338,000 to make sure guys like me don't get elected.
Well, ask yourself, citizenry, residents of Shawnee County and the city of Topeka, what kind of improvements have been made over the last several years from this body?
But here's what I'm saying: if we don't want to grow, and if we're not going to grow, and we're going to continue to be Mayberry, let's save the money.
Yeah.
Let's take the $5 million away that Molly Howie wastes.
Yeah. And this may be...
And just put it into our roads.
This may be counterproductive to the real estate business, but I think you can appreciate this because I believe you, unlike many, are interested in revitalizing the city. What this county's done, and they finally admitted it in a commission meeting. One of the county planners actually acknowledged that we have expanded our periphery to the extent with zero population growth that we've created a donut effect in the city, because every farm has been subdivided without any kind of oversight or scrutiny into residential. So now you have an issue. This is getting into the townships where you burden, and of course your rural fire departments are going to be steadfast in saying they can handle it because it's the bravado thing and all that. But you burden, now all of a sudden you have a fire district out here that has 10 times the residential properties that they once had, 30 years ago, with nothing, and all those people just pulled out of the city into the county, leaving this rot and people really need to think about refurbishing and revitalizing existing structure and land opportunities that are in the city. Because until we get population growth, this outward expansion is killing the city, in my opinion.
White flight.
And remember,
It's white flight.
The political views I say are my own. But yeah, well, it's economic flight.
It goes back to white flight.
Yeah, that's
after Brown versus Board of Education.
That's the term.
And the racist people of our county didn't want to go to school with black folk. Yeah. So they, Shawnee Heights, rural Seaman, they moved out into this and created their own districts. Now, the worst thing about, besides the fire issue and things like that, is the administrative costs we have for the school districts. And see, look, we grew up colorblind. You know what I mean? Yeah. We didn't.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't think. You can call me a cracker and an old white guy, but sometimes we're discriminated on too. I was enjoying the Alexander Memorial the other day at City Council until Jack Jr. got up and started talking about how the downtrodden white and brown, or brown and black folk are. Get over it. I mean,
see, I know those guys very well. I went to church with Jack Sr. and worked with.
You know what Jack Sr. used to call me?
No.
Brother.
Yeah.
I love that guy.
He saved us from being. He saved your emergency response from being a safety officer type, where you're, guess what, both a fire and police, like MTAA used to be. It was his dissenting vote that
I love Jack.
Prevented us. Thank goodness, because I wouldn't want to put I wouldn't have wanted to put my fire gear in the back of a squad car and go try to arrest somebody and then catch a house fire.
Most black people that I know, it's a non-issue with them that I'm white.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've had.
Banks says I'm black. It's okay. I identify as a black man.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, people have made accusations against me about my beliefs and all that, and then I got to thinking about it. Gee, most of the people I still engage with now that I used to work with are all different race than I am. It's like, but yet I, perceived as this white guy that's got some kind of a.
I can't change my whiteness.
Yeah. So
just call me a cracker when you see me. Go ahead. I don't care.
I like to look at people as human beings and Americans.
Hey, what can we get out of that guy? It's a deal. Let's make some deals with that guy.
Yeah. I mean, one of my mentors, the guy. I'm going to drop a bomb on you guys.
All right.
I didn't. The highest grade I completed in high school was 10th grade. I failed the 11th grade and dropped out. And it wasn't. But for the encouragement of my, at the time, apparatus operator driver, Greg Bailey, who was the fire chief, he encouraged me to get my fire science, to get my degree.
Now, didn't he later on become chief?
Yeah.
Yeah, he discriminated against Banks because Banks was black.
Well, and I don't know all about
anyway,
that.
I'm not supposed to talk about that.
Yeah.
Sorry, David.
But my point is, had he not encouraged me at the time to get, I wouldn't have gotten.
Do you know Banks?
Yeah, I know them I worked with them guys for 28 years.
I met David at Quinton Heights. Sandy Lassiter asked me to be on her site council. And it was cool being on. I liked Sandy, and it was a real eye-opener. Yeah. Bianca at the time was going to Whitson, and
Banks and I have had a lot of laughs over the years.
He taught just say no to drugs, baby.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll tell you what, that man was beloved in the school district. He was the public he was the public ed guy, and man, he was a rock star amongst.
He still is a rock star.
Well, that's
Dr. Dunk.
He's got, he had the popularity to now he's a county commissioner or a city councilman.
And Jim Bolden, you know him? He's on my show.
I do not.
He was talking about how big, bad, ugly black folk, right? And I go, oh, you mean like Banks? But I like Jim.
Yeah.
Jim's exploring on being mayor.
Really? Yeah, I'm not familiar.
That's a tough road.
Well,
all right. Here's the thing about it. Here's one thing about that. we've never investigated if the consolidation of the parks and recs was a good thing economically.
I know.
Hey, and hey, Bill, before you retire, why don't you do that instead of trying to make your what is it? Your legacy? Yeah, your legacy be putting a bar and saloon to compete against American business people out at Ward Meat.
Oh boy. Well,
because see, that's the problem with government locally like this. It gets down to your friends.
Yeah.
I thought about. I had a really good friendship with Bill until I ran for office. And I thought he was a Make America Great Republican, and I don't think he is. Because if he was a Make America Great Republican, he wouldn't let Cook and Mays get away with the shit that he does at the end of the day. And you got to be a Make America Great person. It's not about being a Republican or a Democrat today.
Here's one for you, and on incompetency.
Well, anyway, your bombshell about your education. Did you ever get a GED?
Yeah, and I got a college degree. That's what I'm saying.
Did.
But for the
because of Bailey.
Yeah, his encouragement to me to go back in.
He said, "Let's help this poor white guy."
I think we graduated the same time on that. I could be wrong.
Well, good.
He was ahead of me on that, but yeah, we worked in the same company together and worked through a lot of stuff. And yeah, so
you mean your systemic racism?
Yeah. But so here's something that'll blow your mind.
Let's keep going.
On waste, fraud, and abuse.
All right.
Or incompetence. Years ago, and you know where this is at, on Lane, I believe it is, there's a stretch of lights that they put in.
I like those lights.
Come to find out, those lights were supposed to be spec'd out to be twice the distance apart. See how they're stacked up? They went in there and put them half the distance of what they initially should have. That's twice the money. We could have done twice the road for the same distance.
Well, let's talk about that.
Well, let me.
Okay, because I like this project.
Go ahead. I'm coming down Adams off of 45th, heading north. They got the same thing going on there. Some of those residents there have 2 lights on their property. And they're stacked in. They could have doubled the length of that lighting, right? Is anybody doing any of the studies? Because they could have spread those out and got double the distance, or put half of them in and got half the cost.
We actually had to go back and change the light bulbs.
Yeah, because the faulty. They turned purple in that was a faulty. That was a big. Are you talking about the street lights?
Well, yeah. No, I'm talking about the decorative lights for the Washburn Lane Parkway.
Okay. Yeah.
They had to get smaller light bulbs. Now,
well, they're bright too because they're.
But you know what we ought to do? We ought to finish the project. You know what part of that project is?
Which, on the lane? Or
lane.
Okay, no. It still hasn't been.
No, it's not finished yet.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, jeez.
Okay.
And we can't get them.
You know who one of my favorite people in this town is? Lover, Joan Wagner.
Oh, yeah. I remember her. I've interviewed her on a term paper.
You know what I love about her? She goes, well, you can blame that chamber thing on me. Because when she took office, it was the weakest chamber ever. I remember when I first came home. And whenever I moved from town to town, I always joined the chambers. But I've never seen such a pay-to-play as there is in Topeka. So I'm not going to join because I'm not going to give them my money. It's a waste of money.
Yeah.
I got to find this one letter that one of my clients wrote when I was trying to get him to join again. Just so you can have contact with Matt Pavarnak, right? And Matt's a good guy. He'll return phone calls. He's better than the mayor in this town. But what are you looking for?
I thought nothing. Just making sure. Oh, I got it.
Okay.
I didn't want the phone to ring while we're talking. So
all right.
I'm trying to silence it. I didn't mean. I can multitask. I can think of chew gum.
You know, Schumer was getting aroused over some of the stuff going on. I'm just so you were. So anyway.
Good thing I'm wearing sweats.
Yes. That's what she said at Club O. But anyway, Joan, through her inspiration, came up with the Washburn Lane Parkway plan. And she implemented it. But from 13th Street down to the hospital, we're supposed to take everything in Washburn and Lane and make it a park. We're supposed to clear out the shittiest houses there. And we need to figure out how to finish that project.
Yeah.
Hey, Karen Heller, put that on your list. I think that's her neighborhood.
Well, I know that whole light debate. I mean,
well, we can find what's wrong easier than what's right.
Yeah. And I may be speaking out of turn. They may have done studies, but in my history of research on a lot of this stuff, they don't. What the proper distance is
and we shouldn't be doing studies other than our own staff.
Yeah. Well,
we got to get rid of the consultants.
There should be already, and there may be already rubber stamps criteria, guidelines that you can say, all right, I'm putting in light poles. What's the proper distance for lighting so that we can, everybody can see?
This town wastes so much money on consultants.
Yeah, so the consultant thing, I think, is a bad
$554,000 for the hotel consultant.
Yeah, and consultant could be this.
Well, yeah.
Those of us who would be willing to volunteer to do the research to look for standards, because there's got to be standards for lighting, and maybe they're abiding by that. But if the standard is stacked up, maybe we can change.
But
standards.
You go to the Citizens Commission and you say, "Hey, I think we ought to put our planning commissions back together."
Yeah,
and then they can study that.
Yeah,
not hire a consultant.
Consultants are the
people. The people need to start running our government again.
We hired with the fire. They did a big study on station placement. Spent a bunch of money getting this consultant, and once the report comes back,
they don't do it.
Oh, why? Because it costs money, or it's gonna be changed. Goodness gracious, we can't have. And they cherry pick what they want to implement, and often it's to the detriment of the department that they're trying to.
In a perfect world, you die and come back as a consultant to Topeka, Kansas, right?
Yeah, and like I said last time, you bebop all over the country, and I have a real problem with that. With regard to the city managers and the department heads that they bring, they have no allegiance to this town, and
Robert,
it's been proven time and time again.
Dude.
A bigger one.
Dr. Robert, he doesn't fit in his suit. I mean, I'm not an Adonis or a fashion plate, but...
You saying this is too small?
No, Dr. Robert, our city manager.
Oh, yeah. I don't know.
He's a little tight in those suits.
Yeah, it blows my mind, $255,000. And that's...
He's got to have money. Let's take him down to Men's Warehouse.
Does he also get a stipend? I went through this with the library.
He's got a tour guide.
He probably gets a stipend, auto allowance, all the other kind of stuff. In addition, I would, and here's the kicker: they sweat it out for 5 years. I don't
think he sweated ever.
Well, they do the bidding of the council that the council doesn't want to hang their name to. And then they get 5 years in, they get a pension, and they move off to somewhere else.
Here's the thing. Our city council, our county commissioners, have advocated all their really thinking to the chamber.
Well,
and when you guys start seeing this shit, you'll go, wow, Henry was right. But you know something? If you guys don't get involved with it, what does it matter?
You see, are you noticing you're older than me
by
a few years? You seeing this paradigm shift? What happened to the liberals' power to the people, pushing back against, now that the government is doing everything for that, they're fighting pro-government.
Yeah.
pro-oppression,
Well, you know what it really comes down to?
pro-regulation.
You know what it really comes down to at the end of the day? You know what separates? It's whether you were vaccinated or not.
Oh yeah, where's my award, my certificate?
Okay. I mean, that's what it comes down to. So
Confess pure blood right here.
You and I, we were stronger than the largest mind control manipulation the world ever tried.
And for the record, guys, every single time I felt under the weather during that period and got tested for COVID, negative.
I never got tested for COVID, ever.
Yeah,
you know why? Because I thought the disease was in the test.
Well, then it probably, it's funny.
And knock on wood.
Yeah.
You know the energy level?
Yeah.
I got here, I don't get sick.
Yeah.
I overdose on vitamin D, but you can't.
And let me say it again for the record. I mentioned this to Henry a couple times. If I had half his energy, I would get 10 times the work done than I normally do. Well, so whatever he's got going, I want some of that. Passion, I guess.
Well, here's what's happened to me is, and a lot of it goes to my sobriety. Mm-hmm. But if you notice, I don't give a fuck what I say, right?
Yeah.
I don't. Because they say that people that cuss usually are telling the truth, Yeah. But my clients are all Make America Great people. Mm-hmm. They agree with me political. Mm-hmm. We go to church together.
Yeah.
We have some of the same values. Mm-hmm. Unvaccinated folks.
Yeah.
I don't discriminate with those that got vaccinated. They just had a weak moment.
Yeah,
but that's what it comes down to. So
to thine-self be true.
Yeah, I love that.
But to impose that on you and I, and banish you from society if you don't comply to an experimental gene therapy that is proving now.
I didn't celebrate COVID.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't. I was trying to sell the pizza pub at the time, lived up above it.
Yeah. I retired just before.
What's retired?
Well, I put my time in and separated from my employer right before COVID hit, and took on another job. I won't tell you where, but I went through the deal, and I used to work there in the past, and they had the mask stuff gone. And funny, when I went in there to drop off my application, the secretary had no mask, and then so I didn't have one myself. Told me to put a mask on while she was not wearing a mask. So I went in there. And
was she ugly?
I'm not going to. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder.
There's some people that should still wear masks.
The ugliest people I've ever met oftentimes have the most beautiful faces. But anyway, that being said.
You mean beauty skin deep and ugly to the bone? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know. But so I dropped off my information, and I got hey, congratulations, welcome aboard. And I informed the individual, just so you know, I won't be accepting any jobs until you end the mask mandate. And you could see underneath her mask, her jaw dropped like, what? And a couple months later, they took the mandate out, and I started working for them. So.
Well, over time, I've always wore bandanas. Because I'll go in dusty old buildings or, whatever, and I'm just, I hate dust.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah.
So,
look what happened to Gene Hackman's wife.
What happened?
She got the hantavirus. That's kicking up the dust from rat droppings. It's a death it's a virus. It's a nasty virus that.
And then Gene got it?
No, he died. It's still up in the air. He had dementia and some other things, and so. But they said she had the hantavirus, and that's dust. You got to be careful.
Yeah.
My neighbor got hantavirus. Was out in their grandchild was out there in Arizona somewhere working construction. Kicked up dust. Wasn't feeling good on Thursday. By Saturday, he was gone. Didn't go to work Friday. Boom, gone. It's like, whoa, that stuff is heavy duty.
Well, I'd walk in Dillon's, put the bandana up, right? And the minute I got past the security guard, I'd put it down.
Mm-hmm.
And I get people to give me the stink eye. Hell,
Yeah, I got accosted at Menards. Guy came from clear across the other side of the store, got in my face to tell me that I was a risk. It's like, well, if you stayed away from me, and hey, if you got
social distancing,
and if you got the vaccine that you're so confident in, no worries for you. Why are you so concerned about me? Hey, if I choose to not, that's what I never could understand.
But that is what's going to separate us as time goes on. It's the people that want to govern themselves, that are going to want to take care of our own health. You know, the guy I like the best right now out of them all, I mean, and there's who not to like, but is that Bobby Kennedy Jr.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, what I love about him is that he was a Democrat.
Yeah.
What I love about him is the Democratic Party put it to him. The Democrats installed Joe Biden the first time. Mm-hmm. And what do you think about all the stuff with the auto pin? Are you following that?
Yeah, I am. Well, think about this. This is what kills me, how legacy media, they're all, if you don't see it, I can't even engage in debate with people on that side because they're so off the charts. Remember that who was it, that DA or that judge said, you know, Biden committed some crimes that we could probably prosecute him on, but his mental capacity is so diminished we can't do, but he can still remain president.
It's over that day.
Yeah, but you're going to allow this guy
that day.
I mean, and nobody even cares that he was being that our country was being run behind the scenes entirely
by the bureaucracy that Elon and the Donald are dismantling.
Yeah, and we have it right here in our own county.
We do have it right here. It starts with Go Topeka.
And also, we have 2 taxing authorities that have 0 elected officials, all appointed. MTAA and the library. And they just passed 2 more libraries last session. I'll have to get the guy's name. 2 people voted against it, and the one gentleman, I think I sent him an email praising him, said, I can't vote for this because this is taxation without representation. And I'm telling you, that library over there gets 4 times, their budget's like 4 times Lawrence
Let's talk
County
about
Library.
the MTAA, because is that how Curtis Sneeden got over there?
I have no idea.
But the one thing, I don't know if Joe Ledbetter's fighting for us like he used to, but he's on the board over there.
Yeah, I know.
That Joe Ledbetter was a scrapper.
He is, still is, yeah. I know him very well.
I called him up and asked him if he wanted to take over the Citizens Commission lawsuit. He didn't want to touch it, so he's part of the...
Yeah, well, I think...
I'm not going to speak for Joe.
Yeah.
Joe's one of the few guys that I've ever let have my real estate license at McClure Real Estate because I trusted Joe. Because he's a straight shooter. He's honest as the day long.
He's an honest man.
But, sometimes, is it really worth fighting all this sophistry?
Yeah.
You know what sophistry is?
Enlighten us.
Shit. It's in Yiddish.
I know some. That's interesting.
Yeah, Yiddish. My mentor was a Jew.
Yeah.
Married a Catholic.
Yeah, that's what I have family. My brother's a Jewish.
Mace would have had real money if he would have not got into horse racing.
Yeah. Well, MTAA, I'm telling you, this commission, and I worked for the city for 28 years. That needs to be absorbed into the fire and police. They used to be the safety officers. From what I gather now, they're separate. They used to be combination, the employees out there, combination fire and police. So you had your bunker gear and your deal. Years ago, I believe there used to be a fire station out there, right? But give me the books. I could show you that you could save money by bringing that into city police and fire. And I'm not, believe me, I am not a big fan of annexation, but
wait a minute.
But Monterey is already on city water. We already respond.
Why are you not a fan of annexation?
Because.
What's our community really?
What do you,
What's our community?
what do you mean, like the county, city?
Yeah, it's the county. If you ask me.
Yeah, well.
I mean, our community is countywide.
Well, when you.
No, give me a chance.
Yeah.
Let me pitch this to you.
Yeah.
Sheriff is elected by the county.
Thank goodness.
The county clerk is elected by everybody, even the register of deeds.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so well, let's just stick with the sheriff and the treasurer. Okay, so you got two people that are elected already by the community. The sheriff should be a part of everything going on in this community, especially after the open border. And the treasurer should be important. See, it's like, was it Larry Ma's problem? So Larry Ma said that over time, Vic Miller made it to where it was the county commissioners and the county councilor were decided who selectively goes on to the auctions. And see, there's 1,000 people that owe us taxes right now. Get off Jim's ass. Get all the other people today.
Yeah.
We should have a monthly auction.
Yeah.
But if we had, if we elected like a mayor of the community, that's like the salesman, the guy that pulls everything together. So that's three, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sheriff, treasurer, mayor of the county. Well, then you just find 4 people at large. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Or you create 2 county districts and 2 city districts. But we could have 7 people run our community, and we could do away with some government.
Yeah, well.
But you know who does that? Who decides that? That commission.
Yeah. Oh,
But we've got this bullshit. Neil Dobler the other day really disappointed me. Tried to lump all Lawrence Bay over on the county. It wasn't their fault. When I brought up all that shit with Bobblehead, he said, well, hey, Henry, the city has the right, and Rich Eckert would diligently came up with the law that the city can foreclose on the specials on their own because they're city specials.
Mm-hmm.
So we ought to be filing that lawsuit, Spencer Duncan.
Yeah, well.
Hey, what if this was somebody that wanted to be on the show? Hang on, let's see. Henry McClure live show.
Hi, this is Rose. Can I speak to Henry?
What's this regarding?
Actually, I'm looking for employment in your company, so I was just checking for opening.
Oh, you want a job?
Yes.
Yeah, where are you?
I'm from New York, and I'm looking for administrative role.
You want to get out of New York, don't you?
Oh, sorry.
No, are you ready to relocate?
Yeah, I am. So if I get a job.
Okay, I'm going to text. Is this a cell phone?
Yes.
All right, you sound like a nice person. So I'm going to, and I'm looking for some administrative help. Hey, I could use Choose Topeka and get 15 grand and move her here.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Hey, Pravarnak. Anyway, I'll text you my email and let's make friends. Right now I'm in the middle of a radio show.
Okay, got it.
Okay, thank you. Well, it's actually on Facebook. If you want to look it up, look Henry McClure up and you'll see us. We're live.
Okay.
All right.
Thank
Nice.
you so much.
Yes, ma'am. All right.
And you're reaching
Look,
out.
no, here's the thing. New York? Hell, let's get the hell out of New York City, or the state. Who'd want to live in that state?
Yeah. Yeah.
You want to try one of these mints?
Are you giving me a
No.
signal? Are you telling me
No.
something?
Joe Rogan gives his people this.
Does he? Is
Yeah.
that your secret? Energy focus.
Yeah.
Yeah. I won't eat your stuff, but that's
No.
unless you tell me.
No,
something.
go ahead. I get a bunch of these. Well, what do you say we wind up the show and go down and get some coffee? You in a hurry?
No, I could go on for more. I just want to finish my thought on that Montera. They already on the water. We already respond south of there to Mars on emergency response calls that were contracted through them. Merging MTAA with city police and fire, in my opinion, would be a winner and a tax savings, in my opinion. And I am getting pushback from people, of course, who are on that committee, but that's understandable since you don't.
Well, if we're gonna,
you're ruffling feathers.
Well,
right,
if we're gonna have a police force in this community, I want Brian Hill running it all. Mm-hmm. I want the sheriff.
Yeah, I praise him, even though I think his underling wasn't too pleased with my dialogue with the commission because I lack diplomacy.
One?
I don't know who it was.
Hubler?
I don't know who it was.
I like the sheriff.
I like the sheriff a great deal, and thank goodness. See, our framers knew what they were doing when we went elected our sheriffs because they are our buffer between tyranny,
right,
government, and
under martial law, they take over.
And they are elected, so they are more beholden to the people's interests and not the jackbooted thugs that are going to kick your door in. So I am a big proponent of the. And
have you met Brian Hill?
Yeah, yes, I have. I'm sure he doesn't remember. At the commission meetings, I told him, "Hey, watch my back, because I might ruffle some feathers."
Oh, he thinks I'm crazy as a loon.
Yeah,
that's okay.
I voted for him. I vote for him, and I think.
Look, Henry McClure Live. I'm attracting people to our community.
Yeah,
they're reaching out.
Yeah, just tell that New Yorker not to be a carpetbagger. Leave all of the New York stuff and come here and start anew.
Yeah. Hey. Yeah, I'm a Make America Great guy, and if you're a lefty liberal, just stay in New York.
Yeah, or you really want to wake up and change your politics and
you notice how the left started taking care or attacking McAdams since he started helping Trump?
Everybody, they're attacking. Yeah. That TDS is a real thing.
Hey, look, I'm telling you something.
There's going to be HDS around here and RDS or WDS around here if we.
What's all this?
McClure deranged syndrome. If you're not upsetting at least half the people, then maybe you don't have a cause. I don't know. What's that saying?
Well, no, look at this.
What's that?
I like this. If everyone is thinking alike, someone's not thinking.
There you go. Patton.
Yeah, Patton. Yeah. I love Patton.
Yeah. What's the other one that they give credit to Churchill, but I think it was derived from the French. If you're 20 and a conservative, you have no heart. If you're 40 and a liberal, you have no brain.
I like Churchill.
They give him credit, but I think if you look into it, I think it came originally in some form from the French. Not that I want to give the French any props.
You know what tact is, right?
TACT?
Tact.
Tact, decorum.
Yeah.
Tact.
Yeah. It's the ability to tell someone to go to hell and they look forward to the trip.
There you go.
That's tact.
There's blurring that I like being tactful versus diplomatic.
I try to tell that every time I see Bobblehead. Actually, I saw him the other day down at the gas station, and here's the thing about it. Just like individually, he's probably a good guy. I don't socialize with him. I know he loves to smoke cigars out at Churchill, and
Oh, and to give you props on the barber over here, my son goes there, and that's a great place.
Now, is this the Marine?
Yeah, the Marine. He's been away. He hasn't been there in some years, but before he went, that was his place, and we actually the bench you sit in there. We provided that for him.
You mean the pew?
Yeah, the pew. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a pew at home. I got it at God's Storehouse.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, I want to talk about Rick Clues for a minute, because he whipped the votes to get Christopher Kennedy the job as wildlife. He had to be confirmed as the wildlife secretary.
Okay. Huh.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
And what's a really shame? It's like, hey, we installed a Democrat to something.
Yeah.
No, seriously. Yeah. Now, when has that ever happened on that side?
Oh, it's
because look.
Well, look at these votes in the House and Senate. The confirmation.
Hey, wait a minute. What about Fetterman?
Well, I was going to say something about that. You talked about JFK Jr. Isn't it interesting, Fetterman and JFK? I think that portion of the brain that worm ate from Kennedy and the aneurysm or the stroke that took out that
Fetterman's head got eaten by a worm.
Yeah, he had a brain-eating worm in his. So that portion
that's when he became a Democrat.
No, I think that's what switched him. Same with Fetterman. I think maybe that took out part of the brain that made now he's a little more reasonable thinking in his politics.
Okay, are you making up this shit about the brain?
Look it up. He had a brain-eating worm in that removed from his brain.
Hey, Ziggy. Did Bobby Kennedy Jr. have a brain-eating worm? We'll look it up. We're going to have a lot of good follow-up.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
So we'll get Shawnee County Doge up.
We need 18 people.
So I showed you the new office, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to move... in the workroom, I'm going to move my scanner in there so I can have somebody sitting there. We'll bring in this girl from New York, and she can sit there and scan documents, and then I can create images and get them up online on the website.
Yeah.
And so
in the meantime,
I just found a whole big box of Go Topeka stuff because I've been fighting them for years.
First and foremost, we need to get 18, I'd like to get 30 people, 40 people interested in this. John Q. Public Citizen.
Well,
of all different walks of life.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think I could get elected without having a sign, if you want to sign, okay, do you think I could get elected to office by word of mouth?
No, not in this climate. I've done a lot of...
I just don't want to... Why should I ask a taxpayer that's getting taxed out of their house for a nickel?
Yeah. Now, I answered that question with the mindset pre-pocket. When I used to pound the pavement for political, door-to-door flyer, that was our push to get the word out and to get stuff years ago, that grassroots thing. I think if you got the word out, now this is another form.
I'm not announcing anything yet.
No, but this is one avenue, and of course, a lot of people credit the podcast type of arrangement with Trump's push into the White House. So, and that's why you notice all these libs are putting podcasts.
Oh man,
Michelle Obama, Newsom, all these guys are putting podcasts. But here's the kicker.
Because they heard about the power of Henry McClure Live.
Yeah, exactly. But the difference between them, the following has to be there. They have to have a rational thought. They have to be critical thinkers, and they're not. They don't. That's why they burn down.
You got to have some substance.
Yeah, that's why. I mean, Joe Rogan, all he does is ask pertinent questions. That's what I do.
like Joe Rogan.
Yeah, all you have to. That's why I said I'm constantly thinking about questions. I have these when that gentleman was here. Do you think we have waste, fraud, and abuse? It's always there. Okay, well, should we not attempt, at least make an effort to stop it? I can't rest at night knowing that I'm not at least doing. I've had so many people tell me over these last few years, you know, especially in the religious community, sadly. Well,
Where do you go to church? Where do you go to church?
I don't. I read I read the scripture.
We can have church right here. We can.
Well, here's the thing. The body of Christ is the church. Those who believe in him are the church. Do you think so? What I do, and I fail miserably in this, but I used to say, you know, before I make any decision,
pray.
What would Christ do? Now I changed that because of my, you know, growth in scripture. What would Christ have me do? Right? I try to ask that question. I fail miserably oftentimes, but the thing, so let's ask, what would Christ want his people divided by denomination?
No.
So I have now Corinthians and Romans both have in scripture, if somebody's genuinely doing something they feel is serving God, don't harp on them about it, because you will make them stumble in their faith. And even though it says it in scripture, even though you know that may not be in accordance with scripture, in their heart of hearts, they're serving God, leave them alone. So my wife's a faithful, devotional church member in her church. I attend hers to support her on, you know, occasionally. But the real important thing is read scripture, and when you do, ask for spiritual understanding of it. And I'm telling you, if you've seen my Bible, it's got these tabs and stuff. I started in this when I had my, I don't know if the word's epiphany, you know.
An epiphany's a good? An awakening?
Yeah, my time where
I really transcendence.
Yeah.
I transcend it.
I've got hundreds of these. Every time I crack the book, something pertinent and relevant to what was going on with me. And all these people that are against, or that they paint Christianity in a negative light, they aren't reading scripture. They're not reading it. They're looking at man's perversion of the gospel and their determination of what God's word is. Read the Bible, ask for, and there are Bibles that translate into common language. If you do that, get your King James and the other, and reference, see how they align.
Look at this. You've come alive over this. This is beautiful.
Because this is
the
real
the
deal.
Word.
This is the. I fail miserably at application.
Yeah, but come on.
But understanding it and asking for that. Some people think that, I'm going to be a believer and boom, I'm all of a sudden this enlightened. For me, it's been a lifelong journey, just like any relationship. A lifelong growing. My mother bought me a Bible, and it's called the Book, which means that's what the Bible means. The book, and it's kind of regular language. For when I was 15 years old, it sat in my. Somehow, and if you knew how many times I moved, if you knew my story, it's like Forrest Gump, but not with the fame and fortune. I mean, the things that I somehow carried this Bible around for 20 years. I opened it, and it revealed to me, because I came, but I held on to that for some, you know what I mean? And every time I open that book, boom, start with Proverbs, everybody. If you don't believe in God, if you don't believe in Jesus, read Proverbs, these daily encouragements and advice on how to live your life. And if you dispute anything, and read the red letters of what Christ actually said, these people, Christianity is killed. Yeah, that's the perversion of Christianity by man, and that's why I'm not keen on brick and mortar. That's not the church. The body of Christ is the church. And if he lives within you and you believe and you accept him, and have some humility in your sin and your transgressions, and ask for forgiveness. See, I feel it arrogant of a person to ask another, hey, can you forgive me, man? It's up to that person to offer forgiveness. But Christ, you want to ask for that forgiveness because he's like your father, you accept. And I really seen the alignment when I became a father on God. We are created in God's image, right? So I know that whatever my son does, I will love him. It's funny how it aligns up with real life, right?
I love it.
That, whatever, son, you can make mistake after mistake. You could be and I will still love you and accept you, but you need to work on your, go and sin no more, right? It just.
I like this side of you.
Oh, you opened
No,
up a lot.
but this
with
is a lot
picture.
more fun than the Citizens Commission. And someday I'd love to hear your story.
Oh, well,
I don't know if it's today.
Yeah, you don't have.
Well, no, I mean, there'll be a day.
Yeah.
I just want to say what I learned. Well, one thing I love about the Episcopal Church is sinners are welcome. And I'll show you a picture. Did I ever showed you the picture of Grace Cathedral, my grandfather?
No.
I'll show you that. But I'll tell you, you pay for your transgressions. When the seraphim yanked my soul out of my body, and I had to go through life like and feel all the transgressions. And what kills you isn't as bad as the pain of your transgressions.
Yeah.
And this was a wake up call for me to not to live better. And the minute so an archangel took me upstairs. I was in the hand.
Yeah.
And I'm floating in the best air. I'm free of pain. I know my daughter is going to be safe because I raised her right. Mm-hmm. And the minute I became totally at peace, I floated back down into my body, and I've been this Henry ever since.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah,
testimony.
It's a miracle.
Yeah.
It's not, I never stopped drinking. Yeah. God help me, took away the urge, to use drugs.
Me too. The drink. I mean,
I never would have quit without dying.
Yeah.
But Henry died that day on May 2nd, 2015 at 4:44. And this Henry is here.
That's great.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And I love what you say about the building part. Now, personally, I like going to the building just because of there's prayers stuck in those walls for me.
Yeah. And fellowship is great.
Yeah.
And when you're talking about, you want to get together with like-minded people, share and fellowship, and you have to pay the light bill. So you have to tithe. You have to, these churches just want money. No, they got to pay the light bill and the water bill and all that stuff and maintenance. And so there's expenditure. If you choose to go to a church that's within a structure, that requires money.
I was real disappointed in the Episcopal bishop that talked down to my president.
Yeah.
She was really out of line. She had a moment, and I'm going to take a moment to pray for our government here in Topeka, Shawnee County. Let's pray for our elected officials, and let's pray for everybody under the dome, because I love them all. I may not agree with one whip stitch of your background, but I love you trying to serve our country, our state, our county, our city. And we can make it better. Let's just all get together and pray for them. Amen.
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 What I find, I noticed something. See, my brain works a little different. Maybe it's because of all
you're preaching to the choir.
Maybe it was tweaked a little bit because of all the abuse, the self-inflicted abuse over the. I don't know, but I think about stuff. And have you noticed that liberal preachers, your Warnock, your pro-choice preachers, they have no problem speaking politics from the pulpit. They're not worried about violating their 503c tax exempt status. But why? So why aren't conservative Bible quoting pastors more like the liberal perverted pastors who have no problem speaking out, with the risk of losing their tax exempt status? That's something I find kind of odd.
Well, I'm not a big fan of tax exempt, tell you the truth.
Yeah, well,
I mean, if we're gonna,
that's a motivating factor for these.
Hey, if we love that building, well, maybe we ought to pay the real estate taxes.
And if that is criteria by which you set your policy or your religious doctrine, that we got to make sure we toe the line, that we're not violating this so we don't lose our. I mean, I've actually had people tell me when I was talking about the types of materials that the library offers to children. Well, I'm going to have to ask the front office, or I think it's against our doctrine, our religion. What's Christ's message? Who is your authority? The front office or your
What's the office that Trump created? He created like the office of faith, or he created like a religious,
and he put our guy in there to head it up. Who was that he put in there? Who was it?
But I think it's beautiful. Here's the thing.
It's freedom of religion, not freedom from religion.
This Tampon Tim, they call him, the governor of Minnesota, wishing ill will on a business guy, an individual. I may talk shit about Bobblehead, but I don't want anything bad to happen to him.
They want to bankrupt you. They want to wipe you. They want to make you a non-person. That right there should enlighten you as to who the evil.
I will pray for my people that I disagree with.
Yeah.
I pray that they get a clue.
Yeah. Instead, they want to. They
want to cancel you.
Worse, they want to set you up so some nut job takes you out, and we've seen it. That InfoWars, those producers, they're getting swatted. And the one guy got murdered. They claim, he was interrupting a car.
It's okay if it's my time because I spoke up. That's okay.
Imagine.
I've got a glimpse of the future.
Imagine if you were over in the Middle East and by the way, Christian genocide is happening on a big scale right as we speak. They don't talk about it. Imagine if you were over there with a bunch of radicals wanting to kill you because of your Christian faith and your belief in Jesus. Are you going to deny him? Or are you going to say, my Lord, through my Lord, may he forgive you for your actions, but I'm not going to deny my Lord and Savior Jesus? How many people are going to take that path?
You know who the first canonized saint was?
Tell me.
Dismas.
You
know who he was?
Tell me.
He was on the cross.
There you go.
He got crucified.
Yeah.
He was the first canonized saint in Christianity. Now, I get all this from Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson was on Joe Rogan. I'm stealing all this.
Okay. Yeah.
But, and I dig Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
I dig him. They tried to cancel him, and he didn't know it, but now he's an ambassador to Hollywood.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
he's a rock star.
He did the Passion of Christ all out of his own pocket.
Yeah.
Nobody funded it.
Yeah.
But
and think about, you're old enough, think about back in the 60s and 70s, those epic Bible stories with Charlton Heston, and you had Ben-Hur with Kirk Douglas, which is kind of a different deal. But, the biblical time type story, they were monumental in their production. They were big. They were the big
Cecil B. DeMille.
Yeah. Cecil B. DeMille.
Yeah.
That was.
I like anybody named Cecil.
You have to say it like you don't have any teeth. Cecil.
There's a guy in who's that? Deeds. Remember, there was a guy on the helicopter named Cecil. But anyway, I digress.
Yeah.
Well, this has been fun. I'd rather the next show, let's just talk about God, and we need more God in this town. You know, um,
Well, read a history book of the fall of all these societies and nations. They step away and become
well, the
more
fall of the
secular.
Roman Empire came their inability to assimilate basically the barbarian or
Yeah,
the
the carpetbaggers,
the immigrants, the immigrants.
and read about the Mayans. Say you realize they had the, I don't know if you went down there, Union Station had a Mayan exhibit right there, big platform. The demise was attributed to social programs and the eroding of the culture from outside influence. It says it right there in there if you went into their exhibit. And like for the life of me, I can kick myself for not taking a picture of that. But that's and it all gets away from that the erosion of the society with those things of what do they have you ever heard the term suicide by empathy?
No, but
Everybody wants to help. You do so much of that you bury a hole for yourself.
you know what? I can tell you about suicide by drinking.
Yeah.
Because really, once you're an alcoholic and you know you're an alcoholic and you continue to drink, you're just trying to commit suicide one drink at a time.
Let me give you a personal take on that. My son, he's 25 now.
Is this the Marine?
Yeah. Got drinkers on all facets of his family. Mine in particular, I'll talk about. But all four grandparents alcoholics. Father was. I've been around substance abuse of all forms in the family. Right. He turns 21, and even this last Christmas, he went off to the Marines when he was 20, and he'd been in there because it took him a few years because of his health issues. He's a leukemia survivor.
Oh, wow.
And so I told him.
So it's in remission?
Yeah, he was he's a survivor. He actually, that's why it took him 2 years to get in the Marines, because they had 600 pages of medical
records
and denials and appeals. We went to
that
Jerry.
Dude wanted to be a Marine.
Yeah, Jerry Moran. I got our politicians.
I like Jerry.
We got our senators to, hey, can you advocate in this? So he turns 21, and I have this discussion with him. I say, yeah, I understand now you're 21, and I like to do adult things with you, but I cannot in good conscience offer you something that I know can destroy your life. So I'm not going to take you out for the ceremonial, hey, have a beer with my son, because, and I'll tell you, it's more than just my personal. If I spent 28 years running tens and tens of thousands of calls, medical calls, and emergency calls. If there was one word, one single thing that I could tell you emphatically above everything else combined that has destroyed more lives, families, property, everything else, all that caused the most destruction to humanity, that one word is alcohol. Bar none. I've witnessed terrible tragedy on that. Abuse, murder, accident, just wasted away. So for me to bring that to my son, knowing that the propensity in my family for that to destroy his life, I can't in good conscience offer that to somebody. Like, would God offer that to his child? Something that he knows could potentially destroy that person.
You know how I handled it? So this was a time, as my daughter grew, I was helping mom. My daughter and I actually moved into my childhood home, and I hate to say it this way, but really basically to help my mom die. She had macular degeneration. Her husband was paralyzed in a home. And I'm running out there all the time. And so I go, Bianca, look, we can either move grandma in here, or we could go live on Lake Sherwood, So she starts laughing at me like, all right, well, when do we move, Dad? And, but I just said, look what alcohol's done to me and your mom, I said, but if you want to walk over there and make a drink, that's up to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't want it to be a forbidden fruit, right?
Yeah.
And she had a bad episode with some weed one time and never would smoke weed again.
Wow.
And then one day, so we had a thing about it. This is the way we would do it. She'd come up to me, and this is code. This was Dad code between me and her. She goes, Dad, don't make a thing about this. And that was code for, I'm going to tell you something. It's very important to me. We're not going to talk about it, and don't bring it up again.
Yeah.
And so I'm in Kansas City one day, and she leans in and goes, Dad, now don't make a thing about this. And so I know something's coming. She goes, I quit drinking. I go, really? I go, how long ago? She goes, a year.
Wow. Yeah.
And I go, well, your mom and dad are alcoholics, so you're on the right path.
Yeah.
And then I brought it up to her. I said,
and how old was she at the time?
This is just like a year and 6 months ago.
Yeah. Well,
she's 29.
Yeah. Okay.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So yeah. So she got a hold of
and
it.
I never looked at her like an alcoholic.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my mom liked to drink, but I never thought my mom was an alcoholic.
Mm-hmm.
My dad was an alcoholic. My stepdad was an alcoholic.
Mm-hmm.
You can spot. It's like pornography.
Yeah.
You know it when you see it.
Yeah. I know as much as anybody.
But Bianca just wanted to feel better.
Yeah.
I want to wake up every day and feel better.
Yeah, and
if the best I could do was live by example, she sees the energy level from me.
I do.
And it's like 10 years later, and it takes a lot of energy to be Henry McClure.
Yeah.
These shows take energy out of you.
Yeah, that's why it's always amazing to see you out and about.
Well, some of it is just I got to get it off my chest. I went down to city council Tuesday night, and some of them are just like children. And I'm so disappointed in Neil Dobler because when I moved back to Topeka, Neil Dobler and Mike Tepley, Neil was like head of public works.
Yeah, I remember.
And totally a good dude, And deep down, I love Neil Dobler. He's a great guy. But he's funneled too much of his business to Bartlett and West. And it's all been about Bartlett and West. It's been all about business. You should be able to be in business and not have it affect your day-to-day votes.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't funnel all the money to Bartlett and West. Whatever.
Yeah.
But look, but after talking down at city council, man, in the middle of it, I go, man, I just feel better. I got it off my chest.
Yeah.
And I don't hate our city. I don't hate our county commissioners.
Yeah.
I don't hate our state government. I don't hate Laura Kelly.
Yeah.
But we can do better.
Yeah.
We can do better because we can govern ourselves.
We're supposed to be.
Yeah. So let's just comply with the laws that are on the books.
Yeah.
It's like that judge. You can't say, even though it's 1776 or whatever year it was, you can't use that law.
That's outrageous. How long's rape and murder been on the books?
Shit.
I mean, that's the dumbest argument. Oh, that law's been, that's an old antiquated law. Well, then repeal it. If you want to go down that road, repeal it. Otherwise, we've had laws on the books for centuries that you adhere to.
Look, I plan on being around another 65 years.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
No, I'm going to do it, man. We can follow Dr. Gundry. You live right, take care of yourself.
Yeah.
avoid lectins.
And back to, and oxalates, and back to the alcohol thing. Just for full disclosure, when my son, this is the blessing. He's achieved so much more if you go chronologically by age to where I was.
Right.
And when I was his age, I was running around in Lawrence at 25, and I was a train wreck. And he's over there now going to school.
Well, I wasn't mature enough to go to college at the time,
Yeah.
and I was an alcoholic.
Yeah.
Even back then.
All I wanted to do, well, I went out and I partied and I did to excess. And like you were saying, the health, I think the Lord it took it away from me by health. It's like, I can't physically deal with this.
I'm a Sigma Chi. I'm in a fraternity, right? And, part of the ritual is getting your shit together, right? And if I'd have just listened to them back then in college, I'd have been way ahead back then.
Yeah. I put something out, and this is something that maybe touched on both of us. David Cassidy's daughter said his dying words were, "So much wasted time."
Oh, man.
And at the end of the day, you're gonna wish you had more time. Is with that.
Yeah.
So that's why I say this. When I say it, I'm not joking around. When I say if I had half your energy, I'd get 10 times more work done. I know I need to be more productive in my accomplishments.
Well,
but I feel content. I'm blessed. So I kind of do things at my own
no,
pace.
I was talking to a client the other day, a dear friend of mine, and why aren't you doing better after you got sober? And I go, well, I've just taken my time recovering my way.
Yeah.
But I'm working on some projects now. Like I just took on a big one in Emporia, and we're working on some stuff in Gardner. And
wow.
Yeah. And there's so many more opportunities in communities that aren't as retarded as Topeka.
Yeah.
And retarded is a medical condition, but it's also a form of moving slow. And what I thought when I ran for county commissioner, I thought the Trump effect would help me more than it did. But what you're going to do is you're going to see.
Maybe you're a little premature on the rollout, because maybe fast forward a few years.
And maybe it's just going to take time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the voters are going to have to make the difference. If you're not going to get out and vote things differently, that's the insanity. It's like alcoholism. I even said that to the city once. I go, you run government like an alcoholic. You keep doing the same stuff over and over, thinking you're going to get a different change. It's insanity.
Well, where I'm working and a lot of these government agencies, it's even actually worse than insanity, because they do it over and over again with no expectation of change. That's even worse.
It is. That is. And
it's status quo. And I did a little digging. It's like, because you know why? You peel back the onion. Because if we do it this way, we get extra funding. If we have chaos, if we get somebody diagnosed, we get them on a program, then we get extra funding. Let's continue the madness.
My daughter worked for Lou McGinnis after we sold, and it's not chronologically but Bianca did some other things. She got into property management and then did some retail and then came back to property management. And she goes, Dad, this is just ridiculous. This Lou McGinnis guy is terrible. It's a train wreck. And I just said, there's providence in chaos. Just stick it out, take a deep breath, just go along with it, because she's got a job. Mm-hmm. And sure enough, about a week later, she got a new job with a new company, and she was killing it. And now she's still with that company and doing well in Kansas City. And I'd like to make Topeka a place she'd want to move home to. It is what it is.
It's provided.
It's
provided me a livelihood and a career that I could provide and raise and a family.
But look, if the people, we're our own worst enemy in Topeka.
Yeah,
we really are, because when I was leasing shopping malls all over the country, if the tenants had a bad attitude, then new tenants didn't want to come here. And why in the hell would you want to come to Topeka the way we treat people in Topeka? Unless you're part of the chosen few, the pay to play at the Chamber of Commerce level. I could make a living telling people how to, work behind the scenes, where to deposit their money, who to give money to, who to go, who do you take to lunch, who do you take, who do you go buy a hooker for, who do you,
So is crony capitalism alive and well
in Topeka? It's what runs our city is crony capitalism.
Yeah.
I mean, Mike Padilla is a good fella, but he doesn't know shit about business. He was a security guard moonlighting when I moved back to Topeka at White Lakes.
Yeah, I remember when he was on the police department.
And he's probably a good cop. I mean, he made rank of major.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. I used to drink with him at Fergie's.
Yeah.
Get hammered.
Yeah.
The cop bar, the old autos.
Isn't it something, our journey, when you go back and reflect back?
Yeah, I know. And Mace always said a reform to anything's terrible.
One of my biggest hurdles now, being a middle-aged guy, is letting go of my sophomoric humor, because I
embrace my problems.
I still throw out
stuff I know.
That might be highly inappropriate.
I think it's funny to call bobblehead because that's all he's doing is whatever Go Topeka says, and Matt Pavarnak.
Did you see when I pushed his buttons in there? He almost threw me out because I was pointing to this when I was getting contradicted and when something. I would be very upset if I was a county commissioner, because when I first showed him this, their attorney chimed in. Well, I'll look into that. So a year later, I come back. Hey, I haven't heard anything.
No.
You didn't see that?
No, I'm telling you, that's what Spencer Duncan, he plays this fool that, hey, send me an email and I'll look into it. Like, I've already brought up the Citizens Commission and he ain't got back to me. I brought up the fact that shouldn't we have a rule that if you're in one LLC, you got a problem, you don't get help until you clean up the problems.
Yeah.
He didn't respond on that.
Yeah.
This is why I don't want that fool as our mayor, because it's just more of the same. What do we? He wants to have he wants little signs by cash registers because he's not a fan of CID. What I'm going to do, I'm going to build a bunch of little signs that say this common consumption area is brought to you by Spencer Duncan and his father and the liquor lobby. Because that was what was important to him.
Wow. Is that where we morphed into? Now we can get it on Sundays and get it into.
Well, the common consumption is where you can have it outside.
Yeah, I understand
downtown,
that,
which is good.
Yeah.
I mean, they should do that. But it's the hypocrisy of who we're going to pick on with the little signs.
Yeah.
But he's trying to use, this is what I do not like about him. He's trying to use the government to be in the real estate business. With the land bank, and the reason you can't get any money for the trust, this real estate trust they're trying to do, is because you're not responsible with our tax dollars. Mm-hmm. So why should we give you more money? It's just like giving a drunk a credit card.
We're a microcosm of what's going on.
We are a microcosm.
Exactly what's going on with the feds. When they're trying to, we're like the Seattle.
I just wish I had Elon Musk's money.
Yeah. Well, I've told them, even at the library, I'll run this place for free and prove to you that I can make it run more efficiently and save.
Well, now let's talk about that. Let's talk about that real quick. What's the disparaging tax thing? Because they're collecting more tax than they're supposed to legally.
Not
anymore.
Well.
Now, come on. You told me there was like a 5% swing.
Yeah, I did.
See, it doesn't look like I'm paying attention, but I hear everything you say.
Carla Stovall, they exceeded that based on a horrible legal opinion that there's so many things on the state, county, and city level that we really need to dig into. I've got one.
Okay.
This one, Carla Stovall's horrible legal opinion rendered that wasn't even meant for the library.
Now, who's this Stovall?
I think she used to be the attorney general, right?
I don't know.
So
I left for
Carla-
18 years.
Oh, did you? So
Plus, I was drunk a lot.
but the statute on the books is that they are supposed to operate with a 5 mil. They're not supposed to take any more than 5 mil cap, unless they ask for it up to 8 mils in quarter mil increments per year. If you look through there, it's obscene what they've been doing based off of this horrible legal opinion by Stovall, who I think, if I was an attorney, I would look at how can we challenge that horrible decision that defines the statute when the statute is clear as black and white.
You know what? That really brings up an interesting thing.
Well, I guess she's not unelected, but yeah.
That really brings up an interesting topic about lawyers and protectionism. You know, I got dressed down by the Speaker of the House the other day about the activist judges on our Supreme Court. Because what I really want, what we've got to do with our tax, we've got to get it to where once you buy a house, that's what you're going to pay in tax till you sell it.
Like New Mexico.
Well, here's the thing, and California.
Yeah.
Well, that's why they burnt down the Palisades. Because of Proposition 13.
Yeah.
That was planned.
Yeah.
I don't care what you say.
Yeah. Well, the conditions were set up.
Oh, come on.
For sure. You know, the conditions, and then sit and wait. And then we're going to, just like Florida has a beautiful thing called the homestead exemption with the save your home provision in there. And that's transferable, where they can only they can tell you how much it's worth, but they can only raise your tax bill no more than 3% a year maximum.
Well, we've got to.
But once you sell that property to a new person, boom, that property.
Well, because that's the only way to know the market.
Yeah, everything else is how can they bilk you out of money based on speculation?
Yeah,
and here I got our county appraiser, and by the way, many other counties in this country they elect their they elect their appraiser like we should. Why in the 80s did we allow ourselves to be bamboozled into appointing them?
Well, because
beyond me.
Vic Miller, probably.
This was in the 80s. They did that. It's like, why would you take your voice? If you wanted to appoint somebody, I would rather you appoint the treasurer because they simply collect the taxes. You want to trade off, appoint him and elect the appraiser, because the appraiser is the one setting the value on your house and what the treasurer is going to
Well, and that's the bullshit part of this whole thing. If you just...
I'm a little handsy.
No, that's fine.
I'm doing the Newsom thing here on the podcast.
Man, you got to start watching Gutfeld. I'm going to try to get Gutfeld to move to Topeka.
He's hilarious.
I mean, because he's just had a kid. Kat Temp just had a kid. And I want to meet Tyrus. You know?
Yeah.
I want Tyrus on my side.
Yeah.
But he's one smart fella.
Yeah, they all are up there, you know.
Tyrus says, hey, he's negotiating with a deaf hooker. That's what that whole thing is. And he dances around.
Yeah. Yeah, people blindly follow. We just have to get the citizens. I mean, the biggest problem isn't all those people. They're always going to be there. It's people's willingness to want to affect change to improve themselves instead of being. They're playing right into your hands if you just let the status quo continue. If guys like Henry and myself and those out there, 18 people calling in, 30 people that don't press these commissioners, that's why we're sitting here on year 6 without having any real substantive change that the Citizens Commission would want.
Well, how long?
Sorry for getting on a soapbox.
No. I want to know. I want to know if I had any part in really all this Lawrence Bay coming up to a head. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean.
Look how it's gone on for a decade.
Yeah.
I don't know how long I've really been talking about it. You know, if I'd keep better records, you know, like, it's like, because Topeka's an I told you so town and is so litigious, you know, well, I brought that up to you. Well, prove it, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And, but I found a letter that I wrote to Spencer Duncan not too long ago. And I know I sent it through if you want to have everything really just be a matter of record in Topeka, just send everything to the clerk. Because then she's got to, you know, she's got to distribute it.
Yeah.
You know, that's all her job is to do.
Yeah.
And we got great clerks in our city. And there's just so many nice people. Yeah. You know, I'm tired of bitching about it, but I'm not gonna back down till we change. Yeah. And look at the change I've gone through.
Yeah.
I know.
Testament.
Yeah.
Now, and at the end of the day, I can't in good conscience go off without at least everybody tells, oh, you can't, you know, remember the whole you can't fight City Hall thing.
Yeah,
you know
can.
what?
It's our city.
You know, I couldn't sleep at night knowing that I didn't at least try.
Right.
These people, don't you know, these people, and you see it, you saw it in the Summer of Love 2020, these people will burn down this country and rule over its ashes before they give relinquish power. So at the end of the day, if that's the case, at least I could say I didn't go without a fight. Because that's one thing, if you know me, I scrap.
Yeah.
And I think I can hold my own, even against some hotshot attorneys.
I'll bet you $1. I'll bet you $1 that Elon Musk and our president have their own security detail that nobody knows about.
Oh, they'd have to.
No.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think there's probably a level of security over the Secret Service.
Yeah.
Because they need it.
Yeah. Isn't that
something?
Did
you see Biden's face? Did you see Biden's face when Barron talked to him?
No.
On the day of the inauguration, and what they think he said is he shook his hand and the president's all smiling, and they think he said it's on.
Oh wow. Barron said that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then his face
just
changed. Like he started what little bit of brain power that peanut head has, you know. Yeah. But look, wait a minute. He's vice president, and he's got these secret documents in his garage. He should be in jail. Yeah. You can't. We've got two standards. We've got two standards here in Topeka.
Yeah. Well, remember I said it earlier. It was said by was it a district attorney or a judge that there was enough, and it was a grand jury to get an indictment against him, but because he's so feeble-minded, we don't want to do that to the old man. And then you let him continue on to be.
So who was really responsible
for
the nuclear code?
Exactly. Who was responsible for every decision made from that point?
So did you hear about the Speaker of the House? So he can't get an appointment with the president, Mike Johnson.
Really?
Yeah, he can't get it's like a month went by and he can't get in.
Biden, not
with Biden.
Yeah. Well,
and he goes, "Hey, you executive ordered this some really bad policy about energy."
I didn't do that.
Nope. And then he reversed it the next day, and we're down the road.
Yeah.
So how much of that went on?
Oh, the whole entire. He was instilled. He was selected.
And why is Hunter Biden in the security meetings? But what I hate is how the left continues to say, well, it's okay, because he's the left.
But then viciously go after everything Trump's doing with this law. Imagine this. We have 3 separate but equal branches of government.
No, 4.
Well, yeah, the bureaucratic. But would you ever imagine that President Trump would go into the judicial branch and tell a federal judge, you have to hire your staffer that you just fired because I say so? I thought we were separate. How can the federal judge come over to the executive branch and do the same thing?
Well, you heard about the federal judge that
appointed himself president.
Well,
It was on the Babylon Bee.
yeah,
You know, it's
yeah.
a joke.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And there's over 700 of those fools out there, and they're allowed to shop for the one that's going to give them their favorable verdict. That's where they're and John. A lot of people out in the public buy it hook, line, and sinker, and fall right in on that being saving democracy when it's the antithesis of that, and it's actually destroying our system of government. You know, ruling from the bench. You know, is
Hang on just a second. Hey, Ziggy, what's the temperature out?
Right now, it's 42 degrees Fahrenheit.
42?
Today, expect a high of 56 degrees.
Yeah.
Wow.
terrible yesterday. But
Well, hey, I'm ready to wind it down, Mr. Energy Level here. But I want to walk down and get a cup of coffee down at Dialogue.
Use the restroom first.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. All right.
And-
Here, say goodbye to the public.
Thanks for letting me bend your ear. And
No, I think you did a good job.
guys, if we don't get 18, 20, 30 people express an interest in our own destiny, then I don't fault these people who are wasting our money. I fault the citizenry and our own selves for not giving enough crap about wanting to make this place run more
So when you
efficiently.
tell your story, does it have a death moment a part of it?
Me?
Yeah.
As far as my personal story?
The religious thing.
well, yeah, I guess you could say.
All right,
in
we'll
several
look,
different
we'll
ways.
do that another show. All right, go
Yeah.
to the sandbox. I'll wind it up here. Hey, this is Henry McClure live down at the Glass Houses studio. Oh yeah, go down that hallway like you're going to the new office. Take a right. It's the one with the urinal. Well, it's got the big sink. But anyway, I'm here at the Glass Houses studio, and I've got to replace. I decided to take the new space. Now I got to put somebody in this space. And this is going to get painted, some new lighting, new ceiling tiles. So we're going to slick this up. I'll get a rent quote. And I'm live. And thanks for tuning in. We got to get the Citizens Commission going. If nobody's told you they love you, I do. I love y'all. Thanks.